What are you doing? Are you going to move, or are you just gonna stand there? Does that look like it belongs to you? Are you gonna rake those leaves? Dad, lay down. Mommy's trying to film a video. Can you figure it out, please? What's up, what's up, what's up? Welcome back. Oh my gosh, it has been, I don't even know how long. Your girl dropped the ball when it came to posting, and I love doing it. I love making content. I love filming videos. Let's get into the topic of this video. What I want to share with you today are my personal 6 steps to break free of the emotional eating cycle. Binge eating, emotional eating, anything that kind of falls into that category. I want to put a disclaimer here right now saying that this is not medical advice. If you feel like you need to see a doctor, go to the hospital, go to therapy, which I highly recommend. Therapy was really beneficial and helpful for me when it came to a lot of different things in my life, but specifically with binge eating. I personally went to hypnotherapy, honestly something that I really recommend. After struggling with binge eating for a few years, being in the health and fitness industry and kind of having a good understanding of both worlds, sometimes the health and fitness industry can be so focused on losing weight, this pill, drink this tea. Even if you want to lose weight and get healthy, you can kind of be bombarded with the superficial. I've also been on the other side of it, focusing on just the mental side of things, not worrying about losing weight, not caring about the number on the scale. So I feel like I have a good idea and balance of both worlds, and I'm gonna kind of bring that to you today. I have an ebook actually that kind of lays all of this stuff out I'm gonna talk about. I'm just kind of expanding on it. It's free. I will link it in the description below. Really recommend that you take each step 1 week at a time. Really take each step, practice it, use it, explore how it makes you feel, because none of these things I'm going to share are something that you're gonna hear these 6 steps and all of a sudden you're not gonna struggle with, you know, emotional eating, binge eating, or anything like that. It takes time. For most people, it's been something that has plagued you for a long time. Just like losing weight, it's not gonna happen overnight. So the first step to break free of emotional eating is going to be admit, recognize, and reassure. They always say admitting is the first step to recovery. While I'm not comparing any other addiction and saying one addiction's harder than the other or anything in that nature, I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I'm about to say, but I feel like it's really difficult when you struggle with something like this, any kind of eating disorder, because with being an alcoholic, dealing with a drug addiction, if you want to step away from that world and you want to stop being an alcoholic, you want to stop being addicted to drugs, you just remove yourself from those people that, you know, put you in bad situations. You don't go to bars, you don't do X, Y, and Z in order to not surround yourself with drugs and alcohol. When it comes to eating disorders, you can't escape food. So that's why, again, I'm not saying that having an eating disorder is way tougher than being an alcoholic, but it's just really tough when food is in front of you all the time. So that's why this stuff's going to take time, and you have to admit that there's actually a problem, which is gonna help you take the first step in healing it, because it's gonna be a long journey. It doesn't mean it's not possible. I know for me, when I first struggled with an eating disorder, I kept saying, oh, I don't have an eating disorder. Only people who do it all the time are ones that actually have it. And for so long, I kept it to myself. No one ever knew I had an eating disorder, and I know for many of you, you probably fall into that same category. No one even knows that you binge eat. You keep telling people you don't know why you're not losing weight or that you're not getting to where you want, when a lot of it's probably the issues around emotional eating and binge eating. What I recommend doing with this step is write a letter to yourself that basically is saying, hey, kind of like if you were going to write a letter to a friend that says, hey, I have an eating disorder. I struggle with emotional eating, and admit everything that you're doing, everything that you struggle with. But writing a letter to yourself is really going to help you take the first step in admitting that there's actually something going on. Because if you keep denying that there's something going on because you're embarrassed or you just can't bring yourself to do it, you will never heal from this. But I really recommend the next step that you take in this step is to confide in just one person. If you can tell multiple people, your group of friends, if you feel comfortable doing that, do that. Whether it be a parent or a sibling or a friend, a coworker, somebody who you know you can trust, who isn't gonna judge you, isn't gonna make you feel bad, and is gonna be there for you. Okay, so the next step in breaking free of this emotional eating cycle is to list your triggers and your stressors. Can you not, please? This is so important in breaking free of this cycle because you are going to be able to know what causes you to want to emotionally eat, to want to binge eat, that just makes you feel like, okay, this is exactly, every time this happens, it makes me want to eat. You want to sit down and think about all of the different situations, people, moments in your life, anything that causes you to emotionally eat. Some people only emotionally eat when they're upset or when they're stressed. Other people emotionally eat even when you're happy. For me, I eat with any emotion, stressed, happy, sad, anything like that. But the minute I felt like I didn't have control of a situation, I would eat and emotionally eat and binge eat because I had control of that. I control how much food I was eating, what I was eating, and it didn't matter. So make a list of all your triggers and your stressors, and then you're gonna burn it. Have some kind of ritual where you go outside, you light it on fire, you flush it down the toilet, you rip it up into a million pieces, whatever feels right for you. Just make sure that you're being safe. And then when it comes to this, you need to make sure that you distract yourself. When you have your triggers and you have your stressors, you need to make sure that you know when this happens, what else can I do to distract myself? Because a lot of it is just a knee-jerk reaction and it's an immediate response. Mel Robbins talks about it in the book, The 5-Second Rule. You can use the 5-second rule to help you break free of an eating disorder. Counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 actually has a certain response in the brain when you're making a decision to just make you either do or don't do something. You have the feeling of, oh my gosh, I want to emotionally, I'm gonna binge eat right now. You can count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then distract yourself with something. Whether you go for a walk or you play with your dog, or maybe you text someone that you confide in and say, hey, I feel like I'm gonna binge right now. Like, talk me through it, distract me, tell me something funny. Like, that really helps. So the next step is the most crucial step. Number 3, I feel like personally, is the most crucial step in all of these steps. But it's important that you definitely take this third step and take a while to digest it, work on it, and practice it, because it's something that I still to this day am working on. Intuitive eating is absolutely so important because it connects your mind and the sensations of I'm full, I'm not actually hungry, this is just, emotions. It connects your body to that feeling, so you don't have to constantly fight the feelings. Your body just knows how to react to saying, I'm full, I'm gonna push the plate away, or I'm not actually really hungry, I don't need to eat right now, this is just emotions, or this is boredom. You wanna take the first week or 2 of practicing intuitive eating to eat whatever you want, especially if you've dealt with an eating disorder for a very long time. You have restricted and told yourself what you can and cannot eat. You've made certain foods forbidden for so long. So you have to go through the beginning process of eating whatever you want. It may take you 3 days to go through this. It may take you a week. It may take you a month. What I mean eating whatever you want is just eat whatever you want. Wake up in the morning, eat whatever you want for breakfast. If you want pancakes and waffles and cupcakes, eat them. For lunch, if you want pizza, eat it. For dinner, you want to have a glass of wine and spaghetti, eat them. And I know for a lot of you, because emotional eating and eating disorders go hand in hand with fear of gaining weight, but this is not what this is about. This is not about losing or gaining weight. This is about breaking free and practicing intuitive eating, and the only way to get to that is by eating whatever you want. You might be afraid that you are going to just eat everything and you're just going to continue to do that for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. What's surprising, and you'll find out if you trust the process, because with this step it's so important that you trust the process. Your body is going to recognize after a while, hey, I don't really like how I feel right now when you eat pizza for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Let's not do this. You're going to start to listen to your body. When you're eating and you feel full, push the plate away. It's okay to do that. You're not saving world hunger by continuing to eat. If you have enough for leftovers, put leftovers away. If you have, there's still a few more bites, but you're so full, do not eat those few bites. Some ideas that you can use to help with this is to pour water on your food or to dump some salt on the food so you don't eat it anyway. The 4th step in breaking free of emotional eating is to not restrict. This is so key. If you tell yourself, I can't have pizza, I can't have it, it'll make me gain weight. If I eat it, then I'll eat a whole piece of pizza. You're immediately going to crave pizza. There shouldn't be any foods off limit unless it's gonna make you break out in hives because you're allergic to it. You need to look at it as, I'm allowed to have whatever food I want. I just choose to make healthier choices most of the time. But if I want pizza, if I want to go out to Froyo with my boyfriend, if I want to go have sushi on the weekend with my friends, I'm allowed to. I'm going to choose whether I want to or not, but no matter what, I'm allowed to have these foods. Another thing that you can do when it comes to this step is picking a fear food. Pick a food, especially if you've been struggling with eating disorders for a while. You know what a fear food is. It's a food that you're like it's so forbidden. It's so forbidden, I can't have it. You're gonna pick a fear food and you're gonna eat it. You're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna say before, during, and after, I'm so excited to eat this food. This is gonna be so good. I love this. I'm allowed to have it. There are no negative connotations, no negative outcomes for me eating this food. Even if it might bother your stomach, you're just telling yourself, I'm allowed to eat this. It's totally fine. Reminding yourself beginning, during, and after, it's totally cool. Such a great experience to finally eat a food and not feel all this negative emotions attached to it. Okay, so number 5, we're getting down to the end here. Next step is to replace an old habit with a new one. Your goal is to replace emotional eating and binge eating with a new habit. That can be anything from, again, texting someone that you confide in and saying, hey, I'm feeling like I'm gonna binge eat. Something as simple as going for a walk. Every time you feel like you're gonna do it, you turn on your favorite song and you just start dancing, you start singing. There's a million things that you can do, but think about something that makes you happy, that you don't have to think twice about doing. You just do and it feels good. You have to figure out what that is for you. Something that I personally like to do, and I do this not just with breaking free of emotional eating, but also when I'm having something negative happen to me, is to, when you feel like you're gonna binge eat, or because again, this is stemming from the triggers. So when something happens that would normally trigger you to emotionally eat, a negative situation, whatever it is, I want you to stop yourself and either take a piece of paper and a pen or write in your phone 3 things to be grateful for about that specific situation. Let's say for you, you get really stressed out about getting in a fight with your boyfriend. So when you have that feeling, what you can do is you can stop yourself and you can, like when you were usually gonna walk out of the room and storm out of the room and go to the kitchen and binge eat, you can stop yourself and write down 3 things that you can be grateful for about your boyfriend or about the reason that you're fighting. Let's say you guys start fighting about money. You can stop yourself and breathe and say, 1, I'm grateful to have a boyfriend that cares so much about our financial situation. Even if I don't agree with him, I care about him. I'm grateful that we have money to even argue about. Whatever. I mean, there's a million things that you could be grateful for and a million different scenarios that you can do that for. It's really hard to be upset, be angry, complain when you have gratitude in your heart, when you're being grateful for different situations. And I still use that to this day. The last step in these 6 steps to breaking free of emotional eating is to work through it. Work through it with personal development, meditations, affirmations, being in a support group. Like, there's lots of different ways that you can do it, but it has to be working on yourself through personal development. And this is why I leave this step for the last step, because again, you're doing each of these steps for at least a week to really let them sink in, really let them work and get to work. This last one is kind of, once you've gone through all of those steps, you can really start to heal. There's tons of books that you can read. A lot of emotional eating for people stems from self-confidence or not having control. So some books that I recommend, number 1 is Women, Food, and God by Janine Roth. It's not a religious book. If you're somebody who's not religious, don't worry. It's just the name of the book. That's the first book I ever read in terms of helping me with my eating disorder. Really puts a lot of things into perspective. Also, Heal Yourself, Love Your Life by Louise Hayes, I forget her name exactly. That book's really amazing. It has like a workbook kind of section area in it, so you can really work through different things and journaling and writing those things down. Other books I recommend are Mastering Your Mean Girl by Melissa Ambrosini. If you struggle with self-confidence and you're constantly talking down to yourself, that book's gonna be really amazing. It also talks about meditations and the spiritual side of things, so you can get more familiar with that, because that's really what's helped me. The Universe Has Your Back by Gabrielle Bernstein is also another really amazing book. The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Also, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. And then another book that honestly probably is one of my favorite books I've ever read. It's an audio version only, so you can get it I think on like iTunes and Audible. Kick Ass by Mel Robbins. It's basically her with 8 different people, private sessions, where she's basically doing like a therapy kind of session. They tell her all of their problems and the main things they want to focus on, and then she kind of rips into them. She gives like tough love type of therapy and advice, and it's just incredible. The things that you hear people say are like, oh my gosh, that is totally me. In terms of meditations and affirmations, I have used meditations to help myself be more patient, be less quick to anger. So many different situations that meditation has helped me with, and I make sure I meditate every single morning. And then positive affirmations. Saying positive affirmations to yourself every single morning, making sure that they're in the present or past tense. If you want to stop emotional eating, instead of saying, I will quit emotional eating, or I will stop binge eating, you say, I have overcome binge eating. I have overcome emotional eating. Repeating those things to yourself every morning. Again, think about your triggers. If your triggers are that you don't feel confident or that you don't have control of your life, you can say things like, I have control of my life. I am incredibly confident. So speaking those things to yourself every single morning is going to have such a positive effect on you. I personally run a free 7-day meditations and affirmations group on Facebook, and I go Facebook Live every day to talk about different things like meditations, affirmations, morning routine, everything like that. So I kind of go a lot more in depth in terms of this topic. So if you're ever interested, I usually run it in the beginning of every month. You can reach out to me again anywhere. I'm One Fit Coconut basically everywhere. You can just comment below. I'll be happy to reach out to you. It's a free group, basically a workshop. Those are my 6 steps. I hope that they've helped you in some way. I know what it feels like to feel like you don't have control, and that this is just spiraling and you want to be able to maybe get healthy, lose weight. It's not about the weight, but whatever your goals are, if emotional eating is blocking you from moving forward in life, achieving your physical goals and just feeling better, taking these steps is going to be really the thing that starts and launches you into healing, into recovery, because this stuff is hard. So if you ever need anything, have any questions in terms of this topic, but sharing your story with emotional eating, with binge eating, anything like that, I think when you share, it lets other people be vulnerable, and then other people can see, hey, I'm not alone. So share in the comments below. Make sure you like this video if you found it helpful. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any more questions or you're interested in my one-on-one coaching, I take 6 private clients a month. I am not a therapist, so I'm not giving medical advice in that way, but I do help people take the next step and level up in their life to be a badass, crush your goals in the physical sense, in the mental sense, in your life, in any way, shape, or form. Thank you so much for taking out the time watching this video. I will see you soon.